Hi everyone. So AMC stock was kept at just below 450 today. They they used about 3.5 roughly million short shares to keep the stock under that level. If you or I were to walk into a casino and we understand that the basic principle, the basic premise of a bet is you sit at the table, you're playing the game, both sides agree to a set of rules, meaning that once the game begins, has already begun, let's say you're sitting at the roulette table, you're going to place bets on whatever number, right? And after whatever number of seconds, the rules of the game are, then everyone must stop betting. So obviously, you're not going to place a bet uh, after the ball drops. Okay, so there's a reasonableness in the amount of time where you must not be allowed to place any further bets. And the probability of the ball landing on any particular number is mathematically more or less fixed. Okay, whether the house has some amount of advantage or not, both sides agree to not interfere with the ball, right? Because if either side was allowed to interfere with the ball, then obviously there would be some level of illegality in it. Okay, there would be some level of unfairness. So if the casino dealer or I was allowed to grab the ball and put it on any particular number, that's a very simple concept to understand that would be illegal, right? Because the person grabbing the ball has an unfair advantage. Now, to apply that basic premise to the stock market, once the game is started, okay, the market has opened. Both sides agree to place their bets. Okay, the those who believe the stock will go up versus those who believe a stock will go down, or someone who believes that perhaps it's going to trade sideways, right? So why is it that the practice of short selling, or at least borrowing shares to short, how is it that this is legal when, let's say, a hedge fund, right? I understand that the basic premise is borrowing short shares allows for liquidity in the market, right? In that the short seller is able to purchase the stocks to give them back to the house. Right? Here's the issue: you're able to borrow shares that don't exist physically. Okay, they have never been issued, so it temporarily increases the volume of available shorts. It temporarily increases the float. Okay, so you're increasing the float beyond what is beyond what has been established are the number of shares that should exist for that particular stock. there's a level of unfairness in that that short seller who is betting that the stock will go down at that moment in time has created a house advantage. Okay. Certainly, one could argue that creating 3.5 million shares that never existed in the first place and dumping them in the market will have an effect that will benefit a short seller. Okay, that is literally someone putting their finger on the ball and moving it. So I'm thinking of a way to address this to the SEC in a legal manner, in that perhaps borrowing shares might be important for liquidity, but perhaps they need to institute a rule that says if you have a vested interest in the stock movement, you may not borrow more than X percentage of a security. You may not borrow X percentage of a security too short. All right. That would certainly equal the odds. Okay, because at the end, in any casino, uh, one basic premise of any casino is either the odds are fixed or the odds are even. Okay, that's a basic premise, because if you could change the rules in the middle of a game, I don't think anyone would argue that that's fair. So I think that if an institution has a vested interest in seeing a stock move and then be allowed to manipulate said security by borrowing shares that don't exist to create an effect that benefits their bad, uh, I think that could be something that can be easily passed on the exchange. And if this is worded right and if it's done right, it should keep the market liquid and fair. Okay. This way you're allowing for liquidity in the markets, but you're not creating an unfair advantage. So I'm going to see if there's a way that I can word this and submit it. And if any of you have any ideas, or you happen to be an expert in this field, which I am not, uh, but I do actively invest and trade, like many of you who probably tune into this channel, which I appreciate. So if any of you has an idea to further this idea or this concept, please comment in the comment section below, uh, or see if there's a way that maybe you can do your part on this, perhaps on your own, if you have the means to. But on my part, when AMC traded sideways for 3 months because they were barcoding it between 4 cents. Okay, so AMC was was trading within a 4 cent range for quite a long time. I went ahead and I filed a complaint with the SEC, and I proposed, or at least I presented my argument that AMC was being manipulated. And it seems like AMC is now trading a lot more freely than it was, uh, 3 to 4 months ago. So I've done what I could to try to affect some good change from the Securities and Exchange Commission. And I encourage you as investors and traders to do the same. This should not be legal. A hedge fund who has, in comparison to most people on the markets, who by comparison has infinite amount of, uh, uh, let's say, resources to affect a change like this should be illegal. And I, for one, if I can do something about it, I'm not going to sit on my hands on this because this is not right. So if you have the same sentiment, I encourage you to do the same, or either perhaps maybe contribute your ideas down in the comments, uh, and perhaps we can get, if it's necessary, get an attorney involved in this, because if that's even necessary. But the best way to make change is to get active, at least to get active in the cause, right? So I think someone has to start moving on this. And now with the proposed 24-hour stock trading, this becomes even more important because now you've got these intermediary companies who are themselves, to some degree or other, hedge funds for all practical purposes. It becomes even more important that we get active, that we act on this unfairness in the markets. All right. Those were my ideas. And if you stuck around this long to listen to my comment, thank you. Well, good night. I'm going to do some research over the weekend, and I will post again when I find something or file something with the SEC. Thanks again.